Everyone, back tuning in to this morning's video. It's Monday at GazWeatherViz.com, which means only one thing. Yep, it's Europe Day. Every Monday at GazWeatherViz, we have a look at the weather for the coming week across the continent, and today's no exception. We're going to have a look at the weather for Europe over the next 5 days, and it's going to be really warm, really hot across much of the continent this week. It's going to be a really hot week with temperatures widely into the low to mid 30s. Some places getting up into the upper 30s, I think, this week. That is taking us into the hundreds Fahrenheit, so it is going to be a really hot week across many parts of the continent. Before I get on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on all my pages at GazWeatherViz.com. If you roll your cursor over those green keywords, they'll display ads. But if you click through the words, that's the key, click through the words, you'll go to the advertised website. And by doing that, you'll be supporting GazWeatherViz.com. And thanks very much for doing that. So this would be a pressure chart for today from the GFS model. Two main areas of low pressure, one centred over the west of Russia with cool air around the side of it, back side of that low pressure. It is proving really quite a cool summer this year across western Russia. The next areas of low pressure are out in the Atlantic, trying to push into western and northwestern parts of the continent across Ireland, Britain and France. In between, we've got this area of high pressure over Scandinavia, which stretches down into Central Europe, and that's the area of high pressure that's been giving all the hot weather over the last few days. So the upper air temperatures really are telling the picture. There's the cool air coming down through Scandinavia into the west of Russia. Conversely, much of central, western, northwestern and southwestern Europe really hot, very hot down through Spain and Portugal, but it's to be expected down there. But really hot through much of France, hot through Germany into the Low Countries, the heat extending up in towards Denmark, and really hot across much of the British Isles as well. And you do often find this, I'll just very quickly explain this, you do often find that it's seesaw across the continent. So the last few years, when it's been pretty poor in terms of summer temperatures in the west of Europe, it's been much hotter in the east and across Russia in particular. There's been some really hot summers, but conversely, when you get it much cooler in the east of Europe, you'll tend to find it much hotter in central and western parts of Europe, and that is what we're seeing, a very classic sort of setup for hot weather in the west and much cooler weather in the east. It's amazing how nature, how the weather system does balance itself. It does balance itself out, and it is balancing itself out because it's cool in the east and hot in the west this particular summer. So have a look at the convective potential for today. We see we've got really high convective potential here across much of the British Isles, particularly centred across England and Wales. Convective potential also for Ireland, and of course a lot of convective potential for the Low Countries in towards the west of Germany, much of France as well, down in towards the Pyrenees, and then on through into the Mediterranean. Do we realise that convective potential? Well, not that well really across France. You would think there'd be more convection than think there'd be more rainfall than the convective potential is implying. So some thunderstorms, certainly in the southeast of France, and some around the Brest Peninsula, but really much of France actually having a lot of dry weather away from the mountains down across the Pyrenees and the Alps. A lot of storms could break out across parts of Wales and northwestern England today, also thundery showers for Ireland, but many parts of the continent actually dry away from the northeast and the alpine regions. We have got a lot of dry weather going on today. It's really hot though today through much of France, in towards Germany, up in towards the British Isles as well. Temperatures widely into the low to mid 30s. One or two places, southern France, are going to get up to 37, 38 degrees. That's around 100 Fahrenheit. Much of Germany up to 34, 35, 36 into the 90s Fahrenheit, as is much of France. In southern England, I think we're looking at temperatures probably up to around 33 or 34, but it certainly is a very hot scene. Going through to the middle of the week, that heat is being pushed back slightly towards the east as this area of low pressure is desperately trying to come into the west, but it is a real battle to push that hot air away, to be honest, into central eastern parts of Europe. Still relatively cool up to the northeast. So the upper air temperatures are showing that we are moderating them somewhat across Britain, Ireland and down in towards the north of France, but really much of France into Germany very hot through the middle of the week. Mediterranean very hot as well. It's quite warm up over Scandinavia, and even parts of western Russia are turning a little bit warmer through the middle of the week. Convective potential shows that we're pushing that convective potential in towards Germany, but it's still basically across much of France, into Germany, into the Low Countries as well. Some convective potential still across the British Isles and Ireland. Also, not too much down in the southeast, not too much over Scandinavia, but some across the east and northeast of Europe. The precipitation through the middle of the week show we've got heavy storms there across much of eastern France, into the Low Countries, across Germany as well, down into the Alps. That's where the stormy conditions are through the middle of the week. Not too much across Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. Not too much across Western France down into Spain and Portugal. Mainly dry there. Still some showers or storms possible for Britain and Ireland. Temperatures through the middle of the week show that we do moderate them slightly, but it's still a very warm or hot scene across much of France and Germany. It's just that we lose the temperatures in the mid to upper 20s, and we drop them down to the mid to upper 30s, I should say, and we drop them down to the low to mid 30s through the middle of the week. That still is really quite hot indeed. Heat also extending down into the southeastern Europe, much of the Mediterranean very hot, and it's pretty warm basically continent-wide through the middle of the week. If anything, we increase the heat again as we go through to the end of the week. Another heat low is trying to push out of Spain in towards France, on into Germany. That'll be bringing more very hot air with it into central parts of the continent. This low pressure up to the northwest is quite difficult to say what's going on. This is trying to push cooler air in, but for Britain we're always on the periphery of that heat that's extending out through into central parts of Europe. So the upper air temperature show that yes, the heat does increase again through France and Germany into the end of the week, bringing a 20 Celsius isotherm up here out of the Mediterranean from Spain and Portugal and the central Med through the end of the week. So really hot air pushing back north again through France and Germany. As I say, it's trying to cool across the British Isles, but we are very much on the edge of that heat, and it wouldn't take very much at all to bring some of that heat back into the southeast of Europe. Convective potential through the end of the week on Friday. Really high convective potential again across France, into the Low Countries, into Germany, associated with that heat low. Very intense thunderstorms could be breaking out. This is showing it particularly for northern parts of France, going into the far southeast of England and through the Low Countries into western parts of Germany. That's where we've got some really heavy thunderstorms potentially at the end of the week. Some heavy showers for Scotland and Northern Ireland, some showers breaking out across Scandinavia as well, largely dry through Spain and Portugal, but it will be very, very hot down there. Here's the temperature showing the heat extending out through Spain and Portugal into France, on into Germany. Could well be seeing temperatures across many parts of France and Germany getting up to 35, 36, 37, possibly 38 degrees, around the 100 Fahrenheit mark at the end of the week. Really, really hot. Up to the northwest, it's still pretty warm for Britain and Ireland, to be honest, quite humid. It's quite hot still in the southeast as well. Much of the Mediterranean very hot, as it should be. And it's turned hotter. You probably haven't noticed as we've gone on, but it has even turned hotter up to the northeast as well. So a really, really hot scene across much of the continent this week. Could be one of the hottest weeks across much of Europe, I think, this week. For quite a long time, for several years actually. Heat particularly focused around Spain and Portugal, extending up to France, into the Low Countries and Germany. Really, really hot there, especially at the start and then at the end of the week. But it's very warm across much of the continent, and we're also going to have a lot of thunderstorms as well. So really interesting weather this week. If you're off to the continent, do take care in the heat. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.